so much for purchasing this fall coordinate and slope activity. I don't know why that still says Halloween. I will fix that here in a second. But once you get in here, you're going to have the option to copy this activity and edit. So right at the top where it says edit your activity, I'm the owner of this activity, so that's why it says that. That option won't be available for you when you click the link. So in the PDF, there should have been a link to this right here, and you will have the opportunity to copy and edit. So that's what you're going to want to do. I'm going to go ahead and just edit because I'm the owner of the activity. But either way, it should bring you to this screen right here that's loading. Let's go ahead and fix that fall part right there. Silly. Okay, so now that we're in here, this is the edit mode. We're going to want to kind of look this over and tweak anything that you would like to tweak. So okay, sorry. It doesn't matter on this one what the degrees are measured in. All right, so on this first screen, all I have in here is 3 coordinates. Those. We're going to have 3 coordinates that make a triangle, and the students are going to enter those coordinates in, and I have 3 pictures behind them just for fun. So if you would like to change this, maybe you want them in a different spot or you want to add more to this, something like that, you're just going to go in here to this folder that says coordinates, and there's what's creating that triangle. And then these are the 3 images that I have. And right now I have them locked. That's because I don't want like students to be able to click and drag them around or you to accidentally do that. So more just like so you don't make a mistake, not because like I don't want you to edit it or anything. So if you want to fix that, all you got to do is go up here to this gear, and then you can click the little lock icons and you can drag them around wherever you want, and then you could redo the table as well. You could add more pictures if you wanted to. Maybe you want it to be more than just a triangle. But this screen for me was just like quick introduction, especially if the kids aren't used to Desmos or things like that. If they are newer to coordinates, things like that, I thought I'd give them an easy win at the beginning. So that's this first screen. The second screen is just a more complicated version. So they're going to be graphing a maple leaf. And same idea. So on this one, they cannot click the coordinates. On the previous one, they could just because it was a practice slide anyway. So if they needed to, they could on this one. But on this one, they can't. And the reason they can't is because I've made this an image in the background instead of typing in the coordinates on this specific graph. I typed them in a separate one and then I pasted it in as an image. So again, if you want to shrink this, blow it up, rotate it maybe, or anything like that, again, you're going to go to the gear, you're going to unlock it, and then you can play with the image. Now, I would do that if you want to make students practice estimating. So right now, if you go to preview, these are all almost completely integer coordinates, and the ones that aren't are on like 1.5, things like that, really easy ones. If you want them to practice more estimation, like you want to get it really precise and say like, ooh, this is 3.2 or something like that, that's when I would just take that image and either move it or rotate it or do something like that, and then students really have to think and estimate better. So that's a really great activity as well, which I've done with this picture idea as well, and that's super helpful for students to be able to eyeball things better. If you don't want decimals as much as maybe just large number estimates, something else I've done is, let me unlock this so you can see. I've done things like changing these axes to like huge numbers, so like maybe negative 500 to 500 and negative 350 to 350, maybe something like that. And you'll see when I do that, like you can't even actually see the picture anymore. That's because it's shrunk down so small, because it's still the same size. We've now like basically zoomed out. So maybe we'll go like this and put it in the hundreds, right? So then you can take that picture, if you can click the middle, maybe. Did make it unlocked. Oh, okay, there we go. You can click on here and then you'll be able to see the little grow and shrink buttons. So then you're going to want to blow it up, obviously. And again, they can use that to practice more estimation. So they can be like, I think this is like 120 or something like that. And they have to figure out, okay, if this is 100 and this is 200, what is that? Things like that. So if you want them to estimate that way, that's another great idea. Again, this is all set up for them, and then they can just type it in and they'll be able to see if they're right instantly as they type each coordinate, because they'll see if their dot is in the right spot. So lots of trial and error, good estimation practice right there. And they do struggle with this a lot more than you would think. So it's a really good idea, especially if you don't want them to do the last slide. Maybe make this one a little bit tougher depending on your students. Okay, the next slide is the same graph that I had before, but again, now I have the slope idea in here. And so what you can do if you want to tweak this at all is number one, you could go in here and move things around again. Or you could change which line segments are being measured in here. So let's say instead of this line segment, you wanted this line segment. So I'm going to go instead of 0, 5 to negative 2, 7, I'm going to go 0, 5 to 1, 6. Right? And so you can change that, and then you would just have to move this label over. So this is just a point. We're going to need to move it now to the right. So I'm going to say maybe like something like that, maybe. Move it down a little bit. Okay, so now I've like moved which one it is. But the only thing about that is if you do that, this is going to be wrong now, right? Because the slope of that line segment is 1, and that's going to tell it it's wrong. So the way to fix that is to actually go into this little green bluish button right here, and that's going to bring up the code, which looks like big and scary. But really all you got to do is, this is in order. So this is like 1, 3 would be the top box that they're typing into. Oh wait, no, sorry, these are the check mark and X cells. So this would be the first check mark, the second check mark, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And so all you're going to have to do is go in there and change the answer for the first check mark, which is this one, right? So it says when this dot cell numeric value is -1, well, the slope's not -1 anymore, it's +1, right? So we got to fix that. And then down here, we would just have to do the same thing. So change that to a +1. And then it's going to display the check mark. And then when all of these are correct, that's when it would show up on your summary screen that the students have this slide correct. So you got to fix it in 2 spots, up here and down here in the correct area. Okay, so that's how you change that. But if that's too big and scary, then maybe I would recommend just not changing this slide too much. But you can, especially if you're already comfortable in that computation layer, the code in here. Okay, last but not least, we have the slide where the students are going to create their own connected dot. So I just put a dot in there just to show them like what I was meaning, because sometimes they get confused. But basically I have students like trace around the outside of their shape, something like this. Some of them go really detailed and they'll do each like pumpkin line, things like that. Like the kids get crazy. Sometimes they really enjoy it, and it's kind of like therapeutic for them. So you can use my picture. You can also just click it and delete it out. And that is totally okay. And then you can add your own for the students if you don't like mine, or you can encourage students to delete it out and add their own image. They would just click +, image, and then they can upload their own image in the background. So definitely kind of fun, because then they can put in their own spin on things and find their own pictures, which they always like. Okay, so those are all the different customizations that you can make to this activity. Hopefully this makes sense. If you get stuck on anything, just let me know.